Inside Gaming is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Defend yourself against DDoS attacks at expressvpn.com/inside.
Welcome back to Inside Gaming for Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. We've got a lot of new details about the PlayStation 5 to hump. Oh, that's... yeah. Somebody's got wood. Yeah, just a couple days after Microsoft showed off the guts of the Xbox Series X, Sony was not to be outdone, so they held a special live stream today to finally give us some more details about their next-gen console.
Yeah, Sony's been a little behind Microsoft when it comes to talking about their newest machine, but they tried to make up for it today. So, let's talk about what we learned, Brian.
Oh boy, so this comes from PS5 lead system architect Mark Cerny. He spent a lot of time talking about load times and how the PS5's custom hardware is gonna make everything better. It's gonna load super fast, boys.
Nice. Yeah, it was extremely technical. My God. Definitely not really made for everyone.
Yeah, if I screw up the script, I got it, people in the comments. I'm an idiot. You're right.
Do you want a podium so you can deliver this daily as a very dry Mark Cerny-esque?
So it got really technical, and honestly, if we understood it all, we'd be working for Sony and not just be a bunch of idiots on YouTube. I'd be rich.
Say it in a Mark Cerny voice.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it got really technical, and honestly, if we understood it all, we'd be working for Sony and not just be a bunch of idiots on YouTube.
That's more like, it seems like his presentation wasn't...
He's not Southern.
I know, why am I doing Southern? So this presentation wasn't exactly for the garden variety gamer, but to put it in simple terms, their goal for the PS5 is no load screens and super fast streaming.
And how are they gonna do that? Do tell, Brian!
Well, like the Xbox Series X, the PS5 is gonna have a solid state drive. So in meeting developers, Cerny said that was their #1 request for the next console. They want those load times cut, gone, dead.
Do you like solid state drives, Brian?
Yeah, you know I do, baby.
Why don't you drive to my house and look at my balls? Why don't you drive to my house and look at my balls?
What?
I taught you better than this, son.
This is how Bruce proposed to me.
And Cerny said that the PS5's SSD is going to run at about 5.5 gigs per second. That's a lot of bandwidth, and it's going to allow for really fast load times, which of course is the goal.
Awesome. Yeah, he said there's a lot of custom hardware involved, but it means that the PS5's SSD will load by 2 orders of magnitude faster than the PlayStation 4, which means that 2 gigabytes of data can be loaded in 1/4 of a second, meaning that 16 gigs could be loaded in just 2 seconds.
Damn!
Whoa!
It's awesome.
That's super cool. I mean, it's like space age.
Cerny told Digital Foundry that, as game creators, we go from trying to distract the player. He created Marble Madness, if you didn't know that.
Yeah, Marble Madness.
Classic. As game creators, we go from trying to distract the player from how long fast travel is taking, like those Spider-Man subway rides, to being so blindingly fast that we might even have to slow that transition down.
Let me load up my favorite game, look right at the screen, just
Brian, they're also supporting external storage as well, right?
They are. It's not going to be quite as blindingly fast, so it's okay. Unlike the Xbox Series X, which will only allow a proprietary external drive, Sony's going to let you add off-the-shelf external drives to your PS5, boys. It might not be as fast as the internal SSD, but given how big games are getting, you're probably gonna need it.
Let's talk about the CPU and the GPU, am I right? Come on, let's break it down. Cerny also talked about how they will work a bit differently than the standard hardware. So we know the basics. The PS5 uses AMD's Zen 2 CPU with 8 physical cores and 16 threads. But now, we know how fast they are clocked, with PS5 delivering frequencies of up to 3.5 gigahertz.
Yeah, we also know that Sony's customized version of the AMD RDNA 2 GPU features 36 compute units running at frequencies that are capped at 2.23 gigahertz, which means more than 10 teraflops of performance. 10? That's not 12. The interesting part is that the PS5 will use a boost clock that, according to Digital Foundry, will act as an internal monitor that analyzes workloads on both the CPU and GPU, and it adjusts frequencies to match what's needed. So it sounds like it'll have a little person inside that, you know, routes assets when they're needed, just pulling levers frantically.
Games incoming!
I don't get any of this. I'm old. I had pudding for like 3 meals yesterday.
That's awesome. That sounds
Did your
like
teeth fall out?
Yeah, it's awesome that you're gonna be putting these nuts in your mouth.
Oh my God. Brian, so this is obviously not as powerful as the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not gonna be as powerful as the Xbox Series X in terms of raw power, but basically I got the feeling from Cerny's presentation that it's very smartly designed. There's a lot of custom hardware that's gonna make it run at an optimal level. As Digital Foundry put it, Sony's pitch is essentially basically this: a smaller GPU can be a more nimble, more agile GPU. The inference being that PS5's graphics core should be able to deliver performance higher than you may expect from a teraflops number that doesn't accurately encompass the capabilities of all parts of the GPU. Basically, don't look at the number. It might not be as high, but it's about the motion of the ocean, not the size of the boat.
Finally, he talked about another one of their favorite aspects of the PS5, the fact that it will have 3D audio. It's like a dumb branding name, but it actually sounds really cool.
Pretty cutting edge stuff, but the PS5 has something called the Tempest Engine, which supports hundreds of sound sources that are delivered at a really high quality. So for example, if your character's in a rainstorm, it will be able to simulate the sound of hundreds of raindrops hitting you. Cool, very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, and I guess that before we move off from the audio stuff, they're talking about how there's audio profiles, HRTFs, where each people have different ones, and there will be 5 presets with the PS5. And then he was talking about ways to perhaps match people to the best one. He's like, maybe we'll take pictures of your ears. Maybe you'll send us a video of your ear. So Mark Cerny wants pictures of your canals, folks.
Send ears.
Yeah, send ears, please.
That's a simplified version of what we heard today. There's obviously still a lot we don't know, but don't worry, that'll be rolled out in the coming months, right,
Connor, get off your phone.
Meanwhile, all this news comes as we've been hearing about some behind-the-scenes problems with the PS5, right, Brian?
Oh yeah, there have been reports that Sony has been having troubles keeping down the price of the PS5 due to the cost of its parts. Last month, Bloomberg reported it's currently costing Sony around $450 a unit to make the PS5. That is a lot more than it cost to make the PS4. Could compromise Sony's ability to compete with Microsoft in the next generation. Yeah, but Microsoft doesn't have 3D audio, so...
One big issue is the cooling system, which reportedly costs a few dollars per unit. That's more expensive than usual. But Bloomberg said that Sony went with a more expensive option to make sure that overheating will not be an issue.
But the biggest problem is the supply of flash memory. Both DRAM and NAND flash memory are in high demand because smartphone companies are making their next-gen devices too.
Sony's chief financial officer Hiroki Totoki said earlier this month that we must keep PlayStation 5's bill of materials under our control, and we need to make the correct number of units in the initial production.
Meanwhile, it's estimated that the PS4 cost $381 to make and it initially retailed for $399. So if you applied that same math to the PS5, that could mean it would cost about $470 at retail.
Man, these are not gonna be $300 consoles. We're way beyond that. That comparison matters according to analysts because that's what consumers will use to set their expectations. Analyst Damien Thong said,
I put that quote in there because of his last name.
Analyst Damien Thong said consumers will benchmark their expectations based on the PS4 Pro and PS4. If Sony prices above that, it would likely be to balance a need to offset higher materials cost against risk to demand.
So cost is one major issue. The other is the global pandemic that we currently find ourselves in. We're the only people in this building. Everyone's home. We've talked about this before, but some analysts don't even think that we'll see the next-gen consoles this holiday season because of the coronavirus.
Everything is basically shut down at the moment in large parts of the world, which is obviously going to affect production. Not grocery stores.
Or GameStop.
I passed 4 grocery stores, each one of them completely full parking lot.
So they might have to bump back the release date, or there might be just a very limited number of consoles produced this year, which would obviously lead to a lot of shortages.
Well, I don't know. I guess wait a year.
Can't wait to see what the editor in quarantine is doing.
Oh God.
I don't know how to say this, but I don't think I have much time left. You know, and as my son, it is your responsibility to be the man of the house once I'm gone. So, you know, it means you gotta get a job, you gotta pay the bills, you gotta go hunt for food, because we're probably gonna have to do that. You're gonna have to go hunt for toilet paper. I don't know where they live, but you're gonna have to figure that out. Look, I know that there's a lot to throw on you, and I understand that this is completely out of left field, but, you know, with the state of our world right now, this is a better time than any. Do you think you can do that for me?
Just read the joke. There's a dunk in the joke.
Okay, I'm sorry. The Cybertruck shoes are unbelievably cool. Too bad we can't Photoshop that dude's personality. And that's the joke in the script? Cool. Where are we hearing this from, Brian?
So this comes from Bloomberg reporter Takashi Machizuki, who writes that it's currently costing Sony around